I always promise every patient that we have the technology to produce an experience that's going to be in the least amount of visits for them. And that really sets the stage for a great experience and a great flow from there. The fabric of every community is their sports team. And whether you like sports or not, it just seems you'll always see a hat or a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. I said, people are into sports. So if we can get them on board with dentistry, we might have something. My goal is to be in all 50 states, whether it be collegiate or professional sports. But before I hit the ground down under 6 feet, I want to make sure we're in all 50 states, making fans out of people for dentistry. I don't want to hear any more of these bad dental jokes anymore.
Get ready for your unofficial dental hygiene podcast. These are the tales of two hygienists, one East Coast RDH and one West Coast hygienist. Listen as they tackle the profession of dental hygiene with humor and enthusiasm. Now, please join Michelle Strange and Andrew Johnston as they tell you a tale of two hygienists.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists, episode number 279. My name is Andrew.
And this is Michelle, and we're excited that you're here. And if you haven't already, you should hit that subscribe button, follow us, whatever that looks like on your app, because they're all different. Mine's favorite on Stitcher.
Mine is, I think it's just subscribe on Podcast Addict. You know what, though? I got to give it to like the YouTubers. They do such a better job at telling people to subscribe than we do on our show.
It's quite the script that they have.
They do.
It's very solid.
So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications, this and that and the other. They're
so great. So good.
Yeah.
So we would appreciate that.
I am so excited about this episode. I know normally we chit chat first, but let me just, hey, everyone, this is about sports. Sports. We're doing sports. Sports.
Tell me again what that means.
It's,
what is that?
When people play the sports, when they do the things with the footballs and the baseballs and stuff like that. Don't pretend like you don't know what sport. You're a sports person, actually. You're very sporty.
I mean, I'm more athletic. I mean, I was a dancer growing up, and I honestly wouldn't have considered that a sport, but now I do because, just the amount of, the amazing dancers out there in the world. They're just so athletic. I did cheerleading very early on, too, and I would 100% now call that a sport, too.
And then when you came over, we went golfing. Remember that?
We did go golfing. Yes, we did.
You were surprisingly good, by the way. I liked our rule, though, because we both suck. I mean, you were good in the context that we both suck equally bad. And yeah.
I can mostly hit the ball in the fairway, and that's really the only thing that I care about.
And that's all you got to do, though, right? Just keep hitting it straight until you finally get into the hole.
Yes.
So,
yeah,
you're sporty.
Yeah, I'm athletic.
Well, hold on. I'm not talking about... I
have a tendency towards athleticism.
Also, you support college football.
Yeah, but I'm definitely less about it. I was a very big college football fan. Now I just can't manage to find the energy to care.
Yeah. No, we got a lot going on. Plus, this world has been kind of changed in sports the last couple of years.
We do. And there's just so many issues that I have with this, the fact that they aren't getting paid, and I don't know, I think a lot of the college programs exploit their players in so many ways. I can go on.
Hopefully that's just getting resolved soon. That's a hot topic.
Hopefully, yes.
Anyways, but
I wanted to say, I just want to quickly, because I am suffering from dry mouth at the moment, and it sucks.
Let's talk more about that. Is it because you did a lot of the cannabis episode recommendations from Tom a couple back, and then you're
it's not legal in my state, so no, I go on the record of saying no.
Okay.
No, because I've brought up the pollen is killing me. It just I don't know, but not from a congestion, from a true puffiness, and my face, under my eyes, they're always swollen. It's been quite annoying. And so I went to the dermatologist. If you guys didn't see my Instagram story, which would at this time of this episode will be weeks ago, but I went and had my yearly exam to make sure I'm not, eat up with skin cancer. And I was like, while he was doing his little exam, I was like, hey, do you know that? Because, I'm always being a dental advocate.
Yes,
like, hey, did you know that it's Oral Cancer Awareness Month? And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. And I was like, yes, we do a lot of, that's our big thing right now. I'm taking a lot of CE on oral cancer screenings. He goes, yeah, hygienists send lots of patients to me. And I was like, yes, that's amazing. Not oral lesions, obviously, but we're doing the things that we should be doing by looking at people's face and sending and referring out. And I think that's so, so cool. But all of that to say that I was asking about my puffiness, like what is going on? And he was like, it might be something going on with your lymphatic system and like it's pulling underneath the eyes and maybe an antihistamine would be good. And he's like, and I was already doing that. And he's like, maybe you should double up and do like Allegra in the morning and Zyrtec at night. And I was like, and it's helped drastically, but my mouth is so dry now because of that, because I'm doubling up.
Do you notice it mostly like the whole, like when you wake up kind of a thing, or is this like during the day when you're speaking?
No, it's definitely when I wake up for sure. And definitely more on one side, but it doesn't go away. It does not go away, which is so very weird.
Are you still mouth taping?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely still do that. And doing my, clear nasal spray multiple times a day. I'm doing a lot. And it's just a very weird phenomenon. This is the first year that it's happened like this. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I can tell you like my tongue burns because my mouth is so dry.
Wow.
And it is not enjoyable. So I have so much empathy now for our dry mouth patients. And I am going to try a few products that I have here, because people send us all kinds of stuff. And I have stuff from, way back when we used to do shows. And so I'm going to give it a try and see if there is any relief, because there's nothing like being a guinea pig for the products.
So funny. Hey, I this is going to be kind of like maybe a dumb question. I've never been to a dermatologist. Tell me about what and all of our listeners seem like, Andrew, you're so dumb. Like, how do you not know what's supposed to happen? Don't do that to your eyeballs. Like, she's trying to pull her eyeballs out or whatever she's doing to her face right now. That's why you have lines on your face, by the way, by doing that to yourself every time I ask a stupid question.
Being your friend. Yes.
Yes.
This is exactly
look,
why.
For the 1% of us that do have no clue of what happens during these exams, is there like, are you going in and saying like, look at my shoulders specifically, I'm concerned about the freckle or whatever, or is there like a head to toe thing that happens?
I do a head to toe thing once a year. Like they'll look through my scalp and look like the bottom of your feet, like in the webs of your fingers, all kinds of stuff, because cancer is formed there. I went this particular time because I did have a little spot over my eye, and it's some very long name, but it's a very benign type of freckle that my mom also has and my grandma. And he's like, I bet you've noticed some older people with like loss of pigment because this thing scales up and then gets frozen off and then you lose the pigment. And I was like, I can picture my grandmother perfectly right now with all of those all over her body. So it's definitely benign, but I was like, this is weird. It's getting a little darker. It doesn't go away. Like it doesn't have a real defined border. I was like, I'm going to just get it looked at. And, also I get like petechiae, those I call them petechiae, but they're angiomas. And like everybody, like some people are more prone to them, these little tiny blood vessels that, they start as like red dots and they start to raise. And then I get some that will raise and like they'll be on my leg. So if I were shaving, I'd cut it and it would bleed. So I'll get those like zapped off every few years. If they start to raise, I'll just kind of go through and do a full body laser. And then I look like I have chicken pox afterwards. But yeah, it's just, I haven't been in, 2020, I didn't go because of all COVID and things like that. So I was a little overdue, but I do very much appreciate it because everyone in my family that I can probably think of has had some kind of form of Mohs surgery, like to remove skin cancer. So I try to be proactive with it. And plus I'm also obviously like, I'm such a skincare weirdo. Like if something happened to my face and I had to get some Mohs, I don't even know how I'm coming back from that because I take such pride in my skincare routine.
I have more questions for you, but we can talk about it later. About your skincare routine. I want to get better about it. That's what I'm trying to angle.
Step one, Andrew, stop putting sanitizer on your face.
Well,
step one.
We'll see. Hey, I want to jump into this episode. I'm really excited about, we had Matt Crespin on to
Yes,
help
I am not I'm not the co-host on this one.
I mean, look, I
let two real sports fans take it.
Yeah. And we appreciate that. I think, this is one of my ways of, I guess, paying back Matt for all of the fun sports things that he and I have done together over the years.
Yeah.
So we had Dr. Bill Busch, and he actually works with the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was an amazing time. We asked him lots of really good questions. He had lots of amazing answers. You guys are going to love this. Sit back and enjoy this episode. Before we get to the interview, we want to say a big thank you to Paradise Dental Technologies, or PDT, for supporting the continuing education portion of this podcast for so many years. If you do not know already, many of our full-length episodes count for CE. You'll find the links in the show notes, or you can sign up for our newsletter by going to untitled2hygienist.com. When you sign up for the newsletter, we will periodically send out links to shows that have expiring CE courses attached. And none of this could be possible without the support of the amazing people over at PDT. So check out their hygiene and other instruments at pdtdental.com. That's pdtdental.com. Now, on to the interview. Welcome, everybody, to the interview portion of the podcast. We are so excited to be joined by Dr. Bill Busch, and we're going to be talking a couple of things. One of the things that we're going to start off with is sports dentistry. This is a topic that I have wanted to talk about probably about 3 or 4 years now, and it's interesting. Oh, and by the way, I have a guest co-host. You guys heard about that on the intro. We have Matt Crespin on joining us. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Matt and I want our audience to understand, like, why you specifically, Matt. Matt has been the coordinator of sporting events at conferences or anytime we're around. And so I'm like, I have to have Matt come on this because it just makes sense. So
yeah, I'm excited. I think I'll be able to talk a little bit more about sports than probably Michelle would have been able to. So it was a good swap.
That sounds like some fighting words, and I would love to see if that's true. So again, we're going to welcome Dr. Bill Busch. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this interview.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think what we should start with is let's talk a little bit about you, doctor, and kind of let's talk about where you came from and what got you interested in doing sports dentistry.
I grew up in New York, always interested in sports myself. I played high school football and then realized I wasn't good enough to play in college. So I thought I'd better give it up soon and not waste the time. So I dedicated my college years to studying hard so I could get into dental school. Since then, I always had a big heart. Love sports, love the competition, love the camaraderie. And I try to incorporate that into our daily dental lives with my staff and my team. But I just wanted to know how dentistry could be involved in sports. And thus we have sports dentistry, which was at the time not as advanced. I belonged to the Academy of Sports Dentistry for quite a while and then kind of fell out of touch and then just recently rejoined. But that's a great resource for young dentists, old dentists in general that want to incorporate sports dentistry into their practice. It's a great thing for the community and the athletes. And I think dentistry is a vital part of their success.
Doctor, are there different credentials or different certifications? Like, do you have to go through the Academy of Sports Dentistry to work for a team or do anything like that?
Oh, not at all. It's pretty much word of mouth, but I think they're a great resource if you don't have any connections with any of the teams. One of the biggest things that you can do is get involved with your high school sports team initially, and that's kind of how I did it. And then you develop a name in your community for doing those kinds of things. And then you work your way up either on the college level or the professional level. You just have to be patient because it's pretty competitive, but you do the right thing for the right athlete, the right time, then you're in. Then somebody finds you and then the rest is history.
I have so many questions for you. So first of all, let's start with your team because you just mentioned that. What does it look like different than private practice within your facility? Is it very much different?
It's been different with COVID, as far as athletes and staff coming in. There are protocols that we layer on top of what we do with our regular patient encounters. But typically the patients in the past would always just, athletes and patients would commingle in the reception area. But now we have a separate entrance in the back, and we pretty much try to keep them out of contact with other patients, which is kind of a bummer for the patients because they really like bumping in, and the players are extremely friendly with our patients. So it's been great in the past, but I'm hoping things will get better in the future.
That was going to be my next question is do you have dental facilities and dental stuff at the facility, or do they come to your office? And it sounds like they're in your office for the most part.
We have portable equipment that we use for our outreach for TeamSmile that I have privately that I take over, because once a year there are dental physicals that are done with the medical physicals. And we pretty much set up a little makeshift mobile area where we do all the exams and the reporting. But they come over to the office, which I'm more comfortable. I've done special favors and done it in offices at the facility, and that's not very fun. But then I think about all those people carrying big bags up the Himalayan mountains to help the poor folks up there, and I think, I got it pretty easy.
That's a good point. I would imagine, though, that your facility, your practice is a little bit more digitally involved, a little bit more high end.
Yeah, we've been in a renovation over the last 2 years. I've been practicing now for 32 years and pushed all the chips to the middle of the table, and I'm all in. So we've been digital, but we're really connected with even virtual appointments. Everything's CAD/CAM based, digital impressions. So whatever we can do, and this applies to our regular patient base too, is we want to get that person back to work or back on the field as quickly as possible. So I always promise every patient that we have the technology to produce an experience that's going to be in the least amount of visits for them. And that really sets the stage for a great experience and a great flow from there.
Can you talk a little bit more about the virtual visits? I know that telehealth has really come about at kind of lightning speed in the pandemic, but I'm curious how you were utilizing that in the dental office.
Well, there's several different vendors that aren't too bad, but like everything else, it's a subscription-based operation. And the dentist will laugh with me if we have any dentists on the podcast that, everything's $200 to $300 a month, no matter what it is. We've used a few of them, but we've used just our regular iPads and done FaceTime videos with the patients. They'll just say the patient's on the phone. And from the most part, security wise, it's secure if you're using, we use a private network in our office for that. And then they just set it up and the patients are overly excited to consult that way. And not only can we get them out of pain, with the prescription and those kinds of things, but you can do consultations for them too with their smiles. And the technology is getting better and better to where simulations before and afters can be accomplished in minutes too, while you still have the patient on the phone, kind of a virtual before and after picture. So I think it has great legs for acute pain, but also consultations for cosmetic and full mouth restorations too.
Do you feel like this is something even after, kind of the restrictions of the pandemic die down? Is this something you're going to continue to implement in your practice?
I believe so. All the workflow is there. I'm just waiting for the software practice management systems to get on board so that on my appointment book, it says virtual appointment and I can just click on the box in front of my desk like we're speaking right now. And then it just happens like they're in the waiting room. But you have to kind of jump through hoops, without that now. Or it's pushed to your phone and the appointment book's on your phone. And then if you're on a Saturday and you want to do a virtual consultation, it just rings in. And we use Weave for our telephony process, and they make it a little easier. But I think, sit in your seats, stay calm. In the next year, I think we're going to get some really cool tools that will make everybody's lives a lot better. We can help more people.
Yeah, it's exciting. Earlier, Doctor, you mentioned that they have the medical physicals. You'll go in and do some dental checkups at the same time. I'm really curious also about the medical dental integration with a sports team and how closely, I don't know how to say this without like sounding whatever, but the medical community doesn't necessarily love dentists and don't really look at dentists as being equal, right? And so I would love to know, what kind of respect are you given in the facility?
Well, as far as the NFL goes, there are 18 health professionals that have to attend every football game. And one of them is a dentist. So when the visiting team comes, I cover any dental emergency or accident that happens on the field for both sides of the field. So the dentists are among the 18, including the internist and the eye doctor and the team physician and the team physician on the other side. So I think there's a great deal of respect there. I think most of the time, the emergencies I've dealt with are before game or after game. I haven't had any, which is unfortunate not to have to get that 15 minutes of fame to run on the field with my curing light and save. But that did happen with ESPN. We had at the Big 12 tournament from working with the Chiefs. They asked me, and you'll see if you get involved in sports dentistry, once you get your name recognized and you help a few people, you start getting calls. So now I cover the Big 12 basketball tournament every year. And 2 years ago, the player cracked his tooth in half. And this was the first game of the tournament. I had covered basketball. So his number 8 was broken in half, and I had all my stuff in my bag. I had my curing light. He came in at halftime. We reattached his tooth, and they were amazed. And of course, I couldn't enjoy the rest of the game because I thought it's going to come off in the middle of the game. I'm going to look really bad.
You're like, don't breathe too hard. It's going to come out.
But no, it stayed on. And then the other doctors were giving me a hard time because ESPN wanted to interview me the next night to thank and the Texas coach came in and said, I saved the game for the Texas Longhorns because they won and went on to have a great game after he got his tooth put back together. But the way the sports announcer described how I reattached his tooth in the middle of a few minutes, it was amazing. I felt very proud.
That's an MVP trophy right there.
Go back to your point. I believe, and this will be interesting for everybody to hear too, is they give the field of dentistry, a great deal of respect. And I think, and you're not going to believe this, sleep apnea is the biggest trend in dentistry, but also in sports dentistry. So I'm the go-to guy for doing the sleep apnea treatment and the devices for these players, because anybody who's got over a 17-inch neck, which is pretty much every athlete, does have some sleep disordered breathing to some degree. So they do rely on the dental professional for that. And a lot of players are so thankful that we get their snoring stopped and they feel better and they're performing better and they're not going off sides. So, especially as far as football goes, but I think it's a great opportunity for the dental field. That's a great way in to help. If you can do that and get the training for it, I think that's a way into sports teams because they don't have anybody to do that. And there's no way these guys are going to wear a CPAP.
Isn't that for sure? So did you bring to them that knowledge and that expertise of, sleep dentistry or sleep medicine? Or did they say, hey, this is something that we want you to look into, doctor. Can you perform this? How does that conversation go? I
don't know. I have a good gut about things. So I knew it was coming. So I was ahead of the game and got my training and got my diplomat status and the team physician with the Chiefs. I brought it up to him. I said, hey, by the way, if you have athletes that have sleep apnea, we have this therapy with a dental sleep appliance that can be tested and we can send the reports back to you to make sure that it's working properly. And he was blown away. He had no idea. So I became this great resource that he never knew about. And most physicians don't, but you get the physicians in your area involved and they're sending you not only athletes, but regular patients for treatment. It's a great boost for your practice. And then also, patients love it. They love feeling good and feeling energetic during the day and not having tiredness and all the things that go along with sleep apnea.
Aside from trauma, because I feel like we all expect trauma to happen for our sports athletes, what are some of the other common things that you're seeing that may or may not be, or maybe it is the same thing, bread and butter dentistry, but what are you seeing in athletes that is maybe a little bit different than the common person as far as disease rates and things?
Concussions, I think there's a great deal of research going on because a lot of dentists fortunately have 3D cone beam x-rays that they routinely do and establish a baseline record of that with the imaging, and then being able to compare that if an athlete or even a patient has a concussion in the future, what kind of changes. I think there's a lot of research going on that can help develop that part of what we can do to be different. I think a lot of trauma. I think that's it. Loose crowns. You got to realize too with these athletes, they're not coming from traditionally, if I can say, well-to-do families. Most of them don't. And I would say 70%, they're in bad shape dentally. Yeah, I would say 80% of the athletes that I see for the first time that join the team just have poor dental health. And it's not, they just don't know what they don't know. Some of them have never been to the dentist. And then you look in their mouth and it's a disaster, and then you got to keep them on the field. So you have to pick and choose what you think could cause a problem in season. I think that's the most difficult part, is to try to be head off and do the most necessary things, because when they're in season, they're only doing acute care. So your job is, once you get that physical done in the spring, is to try to nail those guys down or gals to come into the office and get that done so it doesn't impact their team or their season.
So you're seeing a lot of high carries rates, or are you seeing also pretty predominantly perio? Like what are they coming in with? High
carries rates and wisdom teeth. If you can think, they're pretty much, in that 21, 22, 23. Malocclusion, a lot of them, the statistics are what is it? 75 to 80% of us could use orthodontics to some sense. But I would say that's what you see with these players. They're not being treated with braces.
I mean, are they doing clear aligner therapy or anything like that? Or are they not doing anything for?
Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing with the players. They want Invisalign, and the NFL partnered with Align Technologies last season, and we're one of their pilot programs with the Chiefs. They're working with the New Orleans Saints to provide free Invisalign for all the players. So I would say even without the free part, we probably had an interest rate of 20 to 25% of all the players would want to come and get that done. So it's an incentive to get the caries taken care of. Because if it doesn't hurt, too worried about it. But you say, well, if you want the Invisalign, we're going to have to take care of those teeth in the meantime. So it's a good little leverage for me to make sure that they're healthy during the season and get those acute things taken care of.
Do you hear, doctor, like after you've done a filling or something, they're like, well, it didn't hurt before you touched it, and now all of a sudden it hurts, or after they're cleaning?
Oh, yeah. I just tell them they probably got hurt in the game and it aggravated them.
That's nice.
Can't be
That's
the filling.
So I wanted to ask you a question kind of in relation to trauma. So, obviously in the NFL, probably higher rates of trauma, but probably higher rates of people wearing mouth guards. But, you mentioned basketball and other sports like that. Are you seeing a lot of athletes that have those traumatic issues? And then do you see a change? Like when somebody like your guy from Oklahoma, when he had that, do players then go, oh, I'm going to rethink this and maybe start wearing a mouth guard? I
think so. And especially if you see icons like Steph Curry wears a mouthpiece and LeBron James wears, that only helps. And I tell them that the world's deadliest weapon's the human elbow, because I've seen so many accidents and teeth knocked out from that. But I think the players, when they see other star athletes wear that helps us. And I'm pleasantly surprised with the athletes. I would say probably 70% of the football players I see either wear a custom guard that we make, or it's called a pacifier type. I don't know why it's called a lip protector, but it's behind a mask, but they'll use the out of the box stock mouthpieces, which I'm perfectly happy with too. And I think mouth guards and those kinds of things, the dental aspect of their well-being and success on the field is becoming more apparent for sure.
Do you have, doctor, collaborations with like the nutrition team for reduction in disease rates, or how does that conversation kind of happen?
I have some conversations with the nutrition. Each team has their own dietary. They have a nutritionalist. They're pretty much know kind of what they're doing, I would say. Yeah. And they pretty much know what's going on. And I think it's more getting them into the basic habits of brushing twice a day for 2 minutes. We always give the players sonic toothbrushes or Oral-B toothbrushes as a gift to make sure that they have the proper tools. There's a project going on right now with Sonic Care that information's gathered if the patient opts in, both for players or patients, that beams the information to us. So when they come in for their hygiene visit, we can tell how many times they brush from the last time they came in, what areas they brushed, what areas they didn't brush. So, Big Brother's watching. If you, which in this case is I think a good thing. I like that kind of stuff because, and parents want to know too. So that stuff's coming. So I think all of it's great. I think anything that elevates the importance of oral health is a great thing.
Now, you don't see this so much anymore. I feel like maybe it's falling out of trend or out of style. But I remember a time when everyone wanted a grill. What do you do for those patients that come in and be like, look, just, K9 to K9, let's put some gold on it?
I had two players come in before the Super Bowl, and they just wanted me to take an impression and give them the model because they had somebody that they knew that was going to do the grill. So I would do it for them, and I would just tell them. Most of them they can kind of remove and take on and off, but I would say it's very, very popular. I try to get them involved in painting the grill into their mouthpiece. So this way they can wear it because they like wearing it on the field and look like they've got a big grill, but obviously it's in their mouthpiece, so it's not going to hurt anything, and it won't hurt anything. So yeah, I've seen that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I would say it's very, very trendy, and players do like that. I discourage it, and then if they don't go that route, it's kind of like chewing tobacco. I want to discourage that, but I would always try to tell them, get something that you can take in and out. Don't try to get the grill that's in there and glued on by somebody in your neighborhood. That's what happens, sadly.
Has there ever been, it's got to be a lineman, too big for your chair?
Yeah, we've broken a few chairs before. And then, but we got smart. We got bigger. We just redesigned our room so we have bigger rooms so their feet don't touch the wall. Yeah, they're very, very large human beings.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Hygiene. We got to probably wrap this section up with at least talking about hygiene. As this is a Tale of Two Hygienists podcast, most of our listeners are hygienists. I feel like a lot of people want to go in for their cleanings in the general population of people. I just want my cleaning, doctor. I just want my cleaning. Is it similar with these elite athletes that they go in for cleanings, or is it kind of like you have to really try and get them to come in for the preventive side, but they'll come in no problem for the restorative side?
No, I think there's one of the players told me, if it's free, give me 3. So all their healthcare is pretty much taken care of. So I don't really have too much of an obstacle to get them to come back for hygiene. They actually like that. They want to get their teeth whitened. So I'll use those leveraging tools from Invisalign and whitening to say, hey, you need to get these other things done because if we don't get this wisdom tooth out before the season starts, you could be in the middle of the season and then be out for 2 or 3 days because you're recovering. So that doesn't look good on me, and that doesn't look good for them. So you got to be a little tricky with those fellas.
Matt, before we move on to any other topics, did you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I think it's been interesting to learn some of this stuff.
Actually, doctor, I do have one more question that came in from one of our listeners that said, do you also see the family of the players, or are you only seeing players?
No, we see the family, and we've actually see the whole front office and the coaching staff. So it goes back to just putting your best forward. And then when it's like your practice, people will start coming in because of that. And that's a great resource. It's just, it's great. I recommend everyone to try to do that.
So I want to transition into this really amazing organization that you're a part of called TeamSmile. And I'd love for you to be able to tell our audience kind of what it's about, kind of the foundation of it, and what you guys are doing.
Well, TeamSmile is a nonprofit. It's a program based for children that are uninsured and at high risk for oral disease, which is typically what they call the Title I schools. And these are kids that are on lunch program and breakfast program. And we started here in Kansas City with the Chiefs back in 2006, 2007. I got inspired by that little guy that passed away, Diamante Driver. He was 12 years old. And I don't watch the news much, but I happened to be watching it that night. And it stuck in my stomach when it was Brian Williams who said, how could this happen in one of the world's most wealthiest countries? And what happened was he passed away because he didn't have a primary tooth extracted. And his mother didn't have the money, and her Medicaid elapsed. And I thought, I need to do something. I'm not going to sit back. I know all the dental hearts out there, hygienists, assistants, front office, dentists. America's the greatest country when it comes to giving. And I think we all, when we get out of school, want to do it, but maybe we don't quite know how to get involved in dental. A lot of people fly off, and I guess we can't do that as much as we could. And I was thinking there's a lot going on in our own backyards that we could help and get these kids taken care of. They can go and pay it forward in the future. But I started with the Kansas City Chiefs. I reached out to Dustin Colquitt, our punter, and I had read in the newspaper coincidentally a couple of days ago about his involvement in dentistry, and his family was in dentistry, and his wife was going to go to dental school. She ended up not going because they ended up having 5 children. So that can get in the way. I talked to Dustin the other day. He's threatening to make her go back to school now. Go back to dental school. No, but we started with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I thought I wanted to do something different. And I thought, how can you get people excited about going to the dentist? So I thought, first, it's got to be fun and it's got to be easy. And I thought, well, maybe we get a singer, or maybe we get some star behind this program, Smiles Across America. I don't know. And then I thought, you know what? The fabric of every community is their sports team. And whether you like sports or not, it just seems you'll always see a hat or a T-shirt or a sweatshirt. I said, people are into sports. So if we can get them on board with dentistry, we might have something. And it's proven since 2006, 2007, and we've been doing it now for 14, 15, 16 years, that we started with the Chiefs. Now we're with over 40 professional football team, hockey, baseball, basketball. We even worked with Justin Timberlake for 5 years at his golf tournament. We were doing dentistry out on the 18th green that have never seen grass before. So, and I just want to tell all the folks too, this is really key. And I tell my kids, and it's really obvious, if you, for the most part, do good things in your life, good things usually happen. When you do bad things usually happen. Well, with TeamSmile, that's where I started. So I was really into sports dentistry, loved it, did all the things I kind of said earlier, but I wasn't the team dentist of the Kansas City Chiefs. I was just doing TeamSmile. And we did TeamSmile for years and years with the Chiefs. And then Andy Reid came to Kansas City, and Dustin went into his office and said, hey, you got to get Dr. Busch to be our dentist, because not only is he a great guy and he helps out the kids in the community with the other dentists and the hygienists and the assistants, but he's pretty high tech and he can keep us on straight and narrow as far as our dental care. And I went in for an interview and they hired me just like that. So I'm kind of always fire, ready, aim. I go by my gut. So I kind of did it backwards, but I went, approached it with a good heart, and I felt like we were doing good things. And I always wanted to be a team dentist, but I didn't know how that was going to happen. And it just kind of happened.
Wow. And Matt, you've actually been a part of one of their events as well. Do you mind talking a little bit about that?
Yeah, I came to learn about TeamSmile kind of through actually one of your former board members, Kevin Thomas. He's from Wisconsin, and you guys were coming up to Milwaukee to do an event at the Brewers, and the organization that I work for does a lot of school-based outreach. And so I had never heard of the program, and it just, like you said, it's a great way to drive people to a needed service. And in Milwaukee, they did it right at Miller Park. Well, actually, now it's not called Miller Park anymore. It's called American Family Field, but everybody here is still going to forever call it Miller Park. But yeah, I mean, you're in the stadium and there's no fans there and there's no game going on, but you have dentistry going on, and there's tons of kids and educational opportunities and tons of restorative care and preventive care. I mean, it was a really great opportunity to bring in dentists and hygienists and the oral health community that lives and works in the area to collaborate with TeamSmile. And, they bring in all the equipment and get everything set up, and away you go, a full day of providing care. It was great.
That's amazing.
The key part too, I think, is we get the involvement of the team and the players and the cheerleader and the mascot, and it becomes kind of like a tailgate experience for the kids. Yeah. I always say there's probably 10 most memorable experiences in every child's life, and it's my job to make dentistry to be one of those. And I think through TeamSmile, we can make a sticky, forgive the pun, experience that's pleasant and fun and outside the realm of the scary dental office, and have some kind of experience. They'll always remember that Patrick Mahomes told him to brush his teeth. And we do it one patient at a time, like the players say, one game at a time. We do it one patient at a time. I don't know if the statistics are still true to the half the population goes to the dentist and half don't. I'm hoping maybe in 20 or 30 years we'll get 65% up there just because of TeamSmile.
Wow. That's so amazing.
I think the other thing that's kind of unique about it is not many people get to say that they went into a sports arena when there wasn't a game. I mean, it's a very different experience to be there, but it's kind of a unique experience that not many people can say they've been able to do, and much less that they got dental care there.
For sure. I mean, you guys both bring up really good points, because even my own childhood, which wasn't at a dentist in a stadium. But you think about like the King Dome. You guys probably know the King Dome in Seattle. It doesn't exist anymore, but I have that vivid memory of going to a game there, sitting in the bleachers with my dad. And that is one of my top 10 memories, as a youth. What an awesome opportunity for these young children to be given their favorite athlete or, someone of, some esteem to come in and tell them, well, this is normal. This is behavior. And it's not in a way that's kind of fleeting on a, billboard or on a, TV commercial. So I appreciate that. So doctor, let me ask this. So if someone wanted to get involved, and we have the pandemic going on, so, some things have changed, but how can someone get involved?
I think just going out to our website, which is down, believe it or not, today, but hopefully not when it's TeamSmile, just with no S, teamsmile.org, and then just put their information in. And my goal is to be in all 50 states, whether it be collegiate or professional sports. But before I hit the ground down under 6 feet, I want to make sure we're in all 50 states, making fans out of people for dentistry. I don't want to hear any more of these bad dental jokes anymore.
Doctor, I think one thing the last thing, if we can end on this, I want to know more about the virtual TeamSmile and what you guys are doing there.
So we're working with one of our doctors that's part of our board, and she's doing a great job. She's at the University of Buffalo. But what we're doing is we're partnering with the dental schools, and the dental students are doing lessons on oral hygiene and education with nutrition for the schools. And the teachers across America are making it part of their lesson plan. And they're introducing live and pre-recorded educational pieces for these young kids to get them excited, and then let them know that we'll soon be there to be in person. And we're working on some technology that might get us there sooner. So it may be sooner than later, but we are doing exams and in person. It's starting to open up a little bit because people are getting vaccinated. And I think some of the players have asked me, when are we going to be able to do it this year? And when you get the players asking you, you've got something, because they've always got their head, about getting better, but they have big hearts for the community too.
I think holograms is something you guys should look into. I think that would be the most amazing thing.
Well, they've got that robot. It's about $4,000. It's called TEMI, TEMI. And I was thinking about getting one for our dental office. It follows you around, and you could actually control it with your phone, and your face kind of pops up on the robot, and you can do a virtual consultation that way.
I love it.
To scare my family and put the robot at home and pop my head up.
Some pilot testing. Oh man. So Matt, any quick things before we close? You good?
No, I think it sounds great. I mean, it's the TeamSmile's great opportunity for people to get involved. And I mean, that's kind of how I came across it. And it's, look for when they're coming to your neighborhood, and hopefully you guys will be back out there sooner than later.
Andrew, can I tell you two quick stories, very short?
I would love that.
Okay. We had Sporting KC's our Major League Soccer team here. Kansas City's fortunate because we're here, so we have the hometown advantage. So we have Sporting, the Royals, and the Chiefs. And we set up all our equipment, and my first patient pops in the chair. She's 11 years old. I never looked at her or have met her before. And she looks up at me. And before I say anything, I know what she's going to say. She says, "I feel safe here." And this is in the locker room at the soccer dome. Never met her. And I just, was very, very touched that she felt, I mean, that's the ultimate compliment to a dentist, no less a stranger, that she felt safe in that place. Mm-hmm. And then there's another story where the kids out at Royal Stadium, they bust the kids in. This one child was with his buddy, and they were getting off the bus, and his one buddy's so excited because they're at the stadium. So they start running towards the stadium through the parking lot, and his friend grabs him by the shirt. He goes, "You know what they do in there?" He goes, "No, we're at the Royal Stadium. They drill your teeth." And he kept running. He didn't care. He kept running.
It's worth it. Oh, that's fantastic. Doctor, is there anything that we missed? Is there anything that we need to visit before we close here?
No, just as far as TeamSmile goes, it's pretty much what Give Kids a Smile is, but it's with the sports twist. It's a turnkey operation, and we, like Matthew said, we do everything for you. You even get team scrubs that you can't buy with the team. Gives us permission to print the arrowhead on the scrub. So everybody from the team, your team, walks away with something memorable for the event. So you get outside and you do something in the community, you feel good about it. And it's fun. It's easy. All you have to do is show up. We pack up the equipment and we put it away, and we try to do it once a year. And kind of for those people that say, well, it's kind of the circus that comes to town and it's just a one-time event. We see these kids again, usually the next year, and we're finding dental homes for these kids that is done pro bono. So we're after, finding a dental home for these kids too. So it's just not kind of a rah-rah, we do whatever we can. We can typically do about $700 or $800 worth of work on each child because we typically get about 150 volunteers out there. So, and then it's fun because every year you get another person comes on and everybody kind of knows their place. The first year is kind of a little aggravating because you kind of don't know a whole lot of people when you're there, but it's fun to see these cities really come together, and it's gives you goosebumps.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So everyone, we're going to have the information. If this is at all interesting and you want to support the cause, we'll have the information in the show notes. So make sure you check those out. There'll be links in there that you can just click right on through. Matt, Dr. Busch, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Well, another great week, another great episode. We thank you all so much for listening each week. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, whatever podcasting app you're using. Also, just a reminder, our guests are so fantastic that they love when you reach out. They love when you interact with them on social media, and you can interact with us on social media as well at Instagram or Facebook. We're also on LinkedIn. You can find us at A Tale of Two Hygienists. You can also go to our website, ataleoftwohygienists.com. And we would love for you to go there and subscribe for our newsletter. We have lots of stuff on our website. We have a learning center. You can search for any episode. This is an easy place for you to find the links for our CE courses and take the test. There's just so much more there. So head over to ataleoftwohygienists.com. And if you want, you can also send us an email. I'm Michelle at ataleoftwohygienists.com. And then there's Andrew, who is Andrew at ataleoftwohygienists.com. And we just want to say thank you so much. If you love this episode and you're loving the podcast, we would love for you to subscribe and leave us a review. And, 5-star, go ahead and do it. 5-star, just hit that 5-star and then leave us a review. We really appreciate it. We love reading them. It fuels our fire, and we just appreciate you guys so much. I think that's it, Andrew. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye, y'all.